Yeah, look, I'm sure we've talked about this before because every once in a while we hear some leaks and rumors about how the next generation iPhones are either going to be super interesting or not that interesting, or overall Apple is going to run out of things to add every year. And it comes up a lot in the comments and on Twitter and in Twitch streams that people think Apple should start releasing a new iPhone maybe every other year and, skip one just so that the upgrades can feel more substantial. I'm here to tell you why that's not going to happen and what Apple's master plan is for these boring iPhone upgrades that are coming. Because iPhone 12 lineup, yeah, I agree, that's pretty exciting. We got new form factors, OLED is a standard, new A14 chip, new camera system. Like, there's a bunch of upgrades this year, but 2021 sounds like, ooh, the charge port is gone. Yay! So how are they going to deal with that? The trick is services. Let's begin. So the primary reason Apple would have a very, very hard time pushing to an every other year iPhone release cycle is the iPhone upgrade program, because they've already kind of committed with this subscription service that does pretty well, by the way, that you will get a new iPhone every single year, and all you have to do to qualify for a new iPhone upgrade is make 12 payments on your current iPhone, and then when the new one comes out, you trade in your old one. A lot of people are actually moving towards this service, and there's a reason for it. In fact, I actually think Apple is going to continue to incentivize the iPhone upgrade program because they want people getting locked into that subscription method. Because we talk about this on Tailosive Talk sometimes when it comes to our finance videos, but selling someone on a subscription has a lot more long-term benefits for the business than selling someone on a one-time purchase. Because for someone who's deciding whether or not they want to upgrade their iPhone, you have to convince them once. You just got to convince them, hey, this $1,000, this $700, or however you decide to finance your iPhone, that's going to be worth it in the long run because you're going to buy it and enjoy it on a monthly basis. But the subscription model has to get you comfortable with the idea of, well, it only takes out, $40 a month or $50 a month. So as long as you have that amount of money in your budget, you get to just enjoy the new iPhone every year. And you don't really think about, can I afford the new iPhone? You just start thinking, that's my phone bill. In order to have the iPhone I like, which is the latest one, and in order to have the latest hardware, I just have to keep paying this monthly cost, which is pretty obtainable for most people, and getting someone to cancel a subscription has proven to be a lot more hard than getting someone to not buy full price latest iPhone. So because Apple is now promising people the iPhone upgrade program and saying, hey, you'll get the new iPhone every single year, that whole subscription service I feel like would get thrown out the door, and a whole lot of the practicality of it wouldn't work if suddenly Apple decided to upgrade the iPhone every other year, because it would have to accommodate for the fact that, yeah, you're financing this iPhone now, but you're gonna have to pay for it outright 24 months later in order for you to get the even later generation iPhone. And yes, iPhone upgrades over the next few years are going to get smaller and smaller and more incremental. Absolutely. There'll be a slight refresh rate jump here, slight camera improvement here, and it's going to get harder and harder to justify upgrading your iPhone. But if you're locked into the subscription model, and more people are going with the iPhone upgrade program, which includes Apple Care, so Apple is already kind of incentivizing people to go with the monthly cost. Eventually, Apple is hoping you will no longer be thinking, do I get the new iPhone? You'll just be thinking, when is that new iPhone coming out? And as long as I've got, the $50 a month in my budget, I'm definitely going to be getting it, as minor as it may be. And that's the ultimate trick here, is getting people comfortable with the idea of paying a monthly cost for their hardware, and that way you don't have to convince them to get the latest hardware. That's just in their mindset that, oh yeah, new iPhone comes out, of course I'm getting that. I'm in the iPhone upgrade program. So my guess is that into the future, as we get more incremental upgrades, Apple is going to start adding some more perks to the iPhone upgrade program. Maybe they're going to throw in Apple Music or Apple TV Plus or Apple Arcade, because they're so proud of these services, and technically this monthly subscription option is going to keep people tethered and paying on a monthly basis, and Apple gets that consistent revenue over time. That's why there's no interest on the iPhone upgrade program. They just want you locked into the idea that you're getting the new iPhone every year, and there's no question about it. It's also important to remember that a lot of the time us in the tech community get fed up with year over year iPhone upgrades not being that big. Like, imagine if the 10R and the 10S Max didn't come out, right? It was just the iPhone 10, and then the following year the 10S came out. It would be incredibly minor, and a lot of people would be upset by that. But the truth is, not everyone bought the iPhone 10, and there would still be a ton of people on the iPhone 7 or 6 or earlier that now see the 10S as the latest one, and it's got, some improvements over the 10. So people who are heading out to the Apple Store Store or checking the website, yeah, they're going to get the latest version. So even incremental upgrades year over year do make a bit of sense for the people who are not upgrading to the latest iPhone every single year, but as is more and more common, people upgrading every 3 years or every 4 years just want to buy the latest generation tech. And even if it does have a small, tiny upgrade over the previous year, people will still buy that because it's the latest generation stuff. So what I essentially mean is upgrading from the iPhone 11 Pro to the iPhone 12 Pro might be pretty noticeable and substantial, but there will be a lot of people who are not buying the 12 or 12 Pro, and once they're comfortable to upgrade their iPhone again, and maybe the 12S or whatever Apple decides to call it comes out, they might as well get whatever tiny upgrades the 12S offers just so they have longevity and don't have to worry about having year-old hardware. So they just buy the latest generation stuff they can, and honestly, with so many Android companies that are releasing phones every 6 months, and I think that's a bad move. I'll talk more about that in my OnePlus 8 review because this phone is fine, but at the same time, it's so redundant in the OnePlus lineup. I think Apple is very, very safe sticking with the annual release cycle. Just new iPhones coming out in September. There were some rumors a while back about Apple releasing budget iPhones in the spring and then premium iPhones in the fall. I don't think they should do that. I think they should stick with their regular September schedule and more than likely, yes, get people comfortable with the idea of paying for your iPhone via the upgrade program. That way, it's not a question. Of course, you're getting the latest iPhone, and because iPhones are such a gigantic chunk of their annual revenue, they can't really just cut that in half and say, you know what, since the 12S isn't that interesting, we're just not going to release an iPhone this year. I think financially, that would not be good for their shareholders, that would not be good for their revenue or their budget to just take one of their largest sources of revenue and cut it in half, even if you think, well, maybe more people would upgrade if it was more substantial every other year. That could be the case, but still, in the short term, it would drastically hurt their revenue. That's why I don't think they're going to do it, and I absolutely could be wrong. I've been known for that in the past. Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter, join my Discord if you have different theories about when it makes sense for Apple to upgrade their iPhones. And if you're subscribed to this channel, make sure you absolutely unsubscribe because it's not worth your time and it's wasteful. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.